Recording in progress.
I will call the February 22nd, 2022, which translates to 2/22/22, meeting of the A&F Committee to order. If Ms. Carrillo, you'll take the roll, please.
Malinowski.
Here.
McBride. Here. Livingston. Here. Walker.
Here.
He is online.
And Councilman Joe Walker let me know that he had a business conflict and could not make this meeting today.
Mr. Chair, I'm joining by Zoom. Can y'all hear me?
Oh, okay. Well, welcome, Mr. Walker. You are here.
Thank you, sir.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. The next order of business will be the approval of the minutes for December 16th, 2021.
Motion to approve. Mackey. McBride, second.
I have a motion to approve and a second. And I'll just ask my questions after the meeting. There were some things that were in the minutes that Mr. Administrator, we need to, I think, clarify. They've since gone on to the council and been approved, but I think we need to make sure that this is correct then. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, if you'll take the vote, please. Yes.
McBride.
Yes.
Livingston.
Yes.
Mackey.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Thank you.
Yes.
You didn't get Mr. Walker, did you? He just said yes.
I mean,
Okay, I didn't hear him. Next, number 3, approval of the agenda.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second for the agenda. Any additions, deletions, or changes from anyone? Hearing none. Ms. Carrillo?
Malinowski.
Yes.
McBride.
Yes.
Livingston.
Yes.
Joe Walker.
yes.
Mackey.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Item number 4, election of the chair. I'll open the floor for nominations.
Here.
Maggie.
Yes, I'd like to nominate Mr. Malinowski. Second.
We have a nomination for Bill Malinowski and seconded. Any additional or other nominations? Hearing none, we'll close the nominations, and if we'll call for the vote, please.
Malinowski.
Yes.
McBride.
Yes.
Livingston.
Yes.
Joe Walker.
Yes.
Mackey.
Yes.
Motion approved.
I'd like to thank everyone for being willing to put up with me for one more year. I appreciate your confidence. Thank you. Number 5, items for action. A, award contract for body removal services. That information is on page 16 and 17 of your agenda. Mr. Administrator, Mr. Brown.
Mr. Malinowski, I do not see a member of the coroner's office on the call, so I'll go ahead and speak to this item, if it's okay with the chair. So if you turn to page 17 of your packet, this item comes before you as a request for proposal that received 3 vendor bids, with the highest ranked vendor being Premier Care Services. And so the coroner's office is asking for the committee to approve the recommendation to allow the award of that bid to go to Premier Care Services for body services removal. As a part of that, just for future reference, next year when we go through the budget process, it will require an additional amount of funding to be added to the coroner's budget. This year should be okay, but for next year, we would need to add an additional amount to cover the cost of the services for body removal. So that is the request from the coroner's office for the award of Premier Care Services to receive that contract.
Hey, thank you, Mr. Brown. Mr. Livingston.
Oh, is she on now? I'm sorry.
I move approval for the recommendation.
Second.
Approval and second for the recommendation. I've got a couple questions here. First off, and I guess we can discuss this later, Administrator Brown, is why we would automatically say we have to add more money to the budget when we don't know what the cost will be at this point in time, but that can be answered later. We're not voting on that now. Also, I'd like to know, prior to this getting to council, what is the cost that we pay for body removal and the number that are anticipated then, the number that have been removed so far this year and that are anticipated in the last 4 months of this fiscal year.
I mean, the coroner is actually on the call. Don't know if you want to recognize her, Mr. Chair, but she is now on the call.
Okay, go ahead.
Hello, thank you so much. I appreciate you recognizing me. So far, when we send body removal out, it's usually because an autopsy has to be performed or because someone has died outside of a healthcare facility. And so far for this year, we've had almost 200 removals, and that's just since January the 1st.
And how much do we pay per removal, please, Coroner Rutherford?
Right now, we pay $205 per removal.
Okay, and do we ever have the opportunity to get any of this funding that we pay back? I mean, are there stipulations as to when the county pays versus the private party or another agency?
So at this point in time, there is no other option. When I came into office, this is the process that was in place. I know that we don't charge the community for body removal or transport. We changed our body removal services because we were kind of just getting a raw deal. And so we found a company that provided a higher quality service for less money. And so they bring out a 2-person team. They don't charge us the full price if they like, for example, today we had 3 dead on arrival bodies that needed to be picked up all within an hour time frame. And so they have a van that can actually go out and pick up more than one body at a time. And so they don't charge us the full price, which the previous company was charging us for every single pickup. But if they're already out, they charge us a lesser fee.
Okay, and if someone calls in that's residing in, are these removals strictly for unincorporated Richland County or anywhere in Richland County?
Anywhere in Richland County. We cover the entire county, sir.
And then that's where I guess my question would come in that I was asking. If we pick up a body at the request of a municipality, wouldn't that municipality reimburse us for that?
If it's a municipality as a such as the prison, and I hope I'm answering your question.
No, like say Irmo, Forest Acres, the City of Columbia, Blythewood.
Oh no, we don't receive any reimbursement for that.
Hey, Mr. Livingston,
I just want to speak to that, Mr. Malinowski.
go ahead.
And the reason for that is because, this is general fund money, and all of the municipalities pay into the
That's
general
where I was going with my next question of the administrator. Thank you, though. Okay, well, I have no further questions, Coroner Rutherford. Thank you for that information.
Thank you, sir.
Anyone else? Hearing none, you'll call for the vote, please.
Malinowski,
Yes.
McBride,
Yes.
Livingston,
Yes.
Joe Walker,
Yes.
Mackey.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Next item 5B, Community Planning and Development Business Center, Business Service Center, Business License Tax Rate Schedule Rebalance. That info is on pages 18 to 25 of your agenda. I see Mr. Kavanaugh here. Is he going to address that, please?
Yes, sir. He's going to address that. I'll just turn you as he comes to the microphone. Your attention to page 19, where it says, under strategic and judicial discussion, staff requests approval of the attached business license tax rate schedule to comply with SC Act 176. Businesses are being placed into their new rate classes mandated by state law, and to ensure revenue neutrality, the business license rates must be adjusted to prevent a windfall in revenue during the 2022 business license year. And when that being communicated, I'll have Mr. Kavanaugh approach the microphone to answer any additional questions you may have about why we are asking for this rate schedule to be approved.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Thank you, Mr. Chair. So part of South Carolina Act 176 is the placement of each business type into their new state mandated rate classes. If the county did not rebalance their rate structure, we would be set up to lose a little over $1 million in business license revenue. So the proposed rate structure that's in front of you tonight is at true revenue neutrality. So we're not going to gain any revenue, but we're not going to lose any revenue with this change. And with this change, there are certainly some winners and losers, but there are more winners than losers in this proposed structure. And also, to add to that, there's some discretionary rate classes that we're also allowed to put a handful of business types in, and those changes are going to decrease the amount those businesses pay the Business Service Center for their business license. So this is just another aspect of South Carolina Act 176, and the rate structure that's in front of you is as fair as we can make it.
Thank you, Director Kavanaugh, and for anyone's information, if you care, I came in a couple weeks ago, had a lengthier conversation with Director Kavanaugh. He went through this and explained it to me, and it seems all right to me. So, any other comments, questions, concerns? Ms. McBride?
I just have somewhat of a comment and a question. I know that we talked about businesses and it's hard and we pay a lot of money in Richland County, South Carolina. Did we discuss that with the chamber, or have we looked at the overall impact, or based on your discussions, is this the best that we can do?
Yes, ma'am. So to answer your first question, I did not discuss this with the chamber, but I have discussed this with numerous other licensing jurisdictions throughout the state, and Richland County is still one of the cheapest business licenses that you can obtain in South Carolina. No problem.
Approve for the staff recommendation, Mr. Chair.
Is to approve.
Second.
Okay, motion in a second. No additional conversation. If you'll please call for the vote.
Malinowski,
Yes.
McBride,
Yes.
Livingston,
Yes.
Joe Walker,
Yes.
Mackey.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Item number 5C, Operational Services, is requesting to approve funding for the modernization of 6 elevators at 2020 and 2000 Hampton Street. And that information is on pages 26 through 28 of the agenda. Administrator Brown?
Yes, sir, Mr. Malinowski, thank you. I'm going to ask David Bertolini to head toward the microphone, but if you turn your attention to page 27 of your packet, again, under strategic and generative discussion, you will find where it says the Richland County Building and the Richland County Health Building located at 2020 Hampton Street and 2000 Hampton Street, respectively, were constructed in late 1990. The building's design incorporated 3 elevators, 2 banked passenger elevators that are located in the main lobby, and 1 freight elevator for each building. These 6 elevators have not been modernized with new controllers and equipment since 1990. Therefore, the elevator equipment in the building is original to the facility and has far exceeded its expected lifespan of 25 years. Through this council's action in allowing capital funds that we were awarded to do the HVAC system in this facility, because you utilized some of the American Rescue Plan funds to do that, and you opened up opportunity to use those capital funds for other matters, we are asking to utilize that capital projects funding to do this work to modernize these elevators. And so I'll certainly allow Mr. David Bertolini to ask any specific questions, but the staff's recommendation is for approval for us to modernize the elevators in this 2020 Hampton Street.
Livingston?
You talk about the funds, the capital funds we approve in the current budget.
Capital funds that were already approved in the current budget, correct. Not asking for any new funding.
McBride?
It's an American Rescue Fund, and this is not using the American Rescue Fund.
This is not using American Rescue funding. I just wanted to acknowledge the council for making a decision to strategically utilize the American Rescue Plan funds where it could to free up funding from your general fund dollars.
But this is not for the use of American Rescue Fund.
This is not for the use of American Rescue Plan funds.
Okay.
Manager Bertolini, one question, and in your statement on regulatory compliance, it says in there that there's the possibility that due to the age of these elevators, there could be an increase of possible notices of violation from the South Carolina Labor and Licensing Group over there. Have we actually received?
No, Mr. Malinowski, we have not. We did 5 years prior. We went through the same situation with the elevators at Judicial, and we were sent desist orders. We haven't gotten to that point, but our third-party inspector sends all information to LLR, so it's on our radar that these things are in need in the next year or so.
Gotcha. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to compliment whoever put this together for giving us all the information.
Malinowski.
Yes, sir.
I'll be
Mr.
recognized.
Overture Walker.
Thank you. And good evening to you, Mr. Bertolini. Just a quick question. I know that, the item before the A&F committee is funding for elevators at 2020 and 2000 Hampton Street, but are you at liberty to say if there are any other county buildings where there are concerns about elevators?
Not at this point. We've done all 6 at the Judicial Center. One at the garage here was done 7 or 8 years ago. All the ones at Decker are brand new. Ones at Township are in great operating order. The only one we'd have to probably address in the next 5 years would be the one at the Sheriff's Department headquarters.
Mentioned the Judicial Center. So currently, is that one in pretty good shape? That,
yes.
I think that's 1700 Main?
Yeah, they were modernized 2015.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I move approval of the staff recommendation.
Second?
We've got a motion and a second to approve the staff recommendation. There's no other discussion. Would please take the vote?
Malinowski?
Yes.
McBride?
Yes.
Livingston?
Yes.
Joe Walker?
Yes.
Mackey?
Yes.
Motion approved.
Next item is 5D. The Operational Services is requesting approval to award a contract for 2 fire station roofs. That information is on pages 29 to 31 of our agenda.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair. Again, I'll ask Mr. Bertolini to answer any specific questions, but if you look at page 30 of your packet, you will see there's under strategic and general discussion, talks about the fire station roofs that have become deteriorated and that beyond repair and cost prohibitive at this point, and that there was a request for solicitation to be advertised for the removal of the existing roofing systems and to install new roofing systems at the 2 locations that are listed. Killian Fire Station Road, which is Station 27, located on 9651 Farrell Road, and Congaree Run Fire Station, Station 29 and 115 Old Congaree Run Road. So the solicitation has been issued. And there were 3 responsive bidders that we initially thought. One later on was found to be non-responsive. And with that, the request from staff approval is asking for this committee to approve Frizzle Construction as the contract awardee. That is staff's recommendation, but I'll ask Mr. Bertolini to speak to any questions that the committee may have at this time.
Question, yes, Ms. Maggie?
Mr. Chair. I noticed that we are recommending 2 fire stations. Have we evaluated all of our fire stations and have determined these are the only 2 right now, or is there a priority list of others that need repair as well?
And we started this process 5 years ago. These will be our 12th and 13th stations that we're redoing the roof on. There's still 2 remaining, and we did it most severe at the beginning, and now we're getting done to the last few. But it's an ongoing project.
Thank you.
Anyone else? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Chair, move for approval.
Okay, I've got a motion
Second.
and a second. There's no additional discussion. Please call for the vote.
Malinowski,
Yes.
McBride,
Yes.
Livingston,
Yes.
Joe Walker,
Yes.
Mackey.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Next item is number 5E, which is from Utilities. It's relating to the Hopkins Utilities Office and putting a sewer connection in there, which winds up being a change order. And that information is on pages 32 to 36 of our agenda.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair. On page 33, as we have Mr. Davis make his way to the microphone, you will see under the discussion that the facilities team tried to help place septic tanks in a drain field in 2017. That project was stopped after it was determined that the ground is not good for the drain field septic system. And at that time, a porta-john was actually placed at the facility. Certainly, we actually now have a ability to connect to our sewer system. And the recommendation from staff is that we connect to the sewer system, which is the most optimal for a facility where you have individuals working. So that is staff's recommendation, is to approve the change order proposal to Division 3 to allow that connection of the Hopkins Utilities Office to the new southeast sewer system at 1629 Clarkson Road. And we'll have Mr. Davis available to speak to any questions that the body may have.
Questions from my colleagues? I've got one, Director Davis, and on page 35 of our agenda at the bottom, it's highlighted and it says, when change order number 12 was submitted in October of 21 is approved, the company has agreed to deduct that $4,275 from this particular change order amount. It's my understanding that that change order number 12 has been approved, so this will be reduced by that amount, correct?
Yes, sir, that is correct.
Okay. Anything else? If not, we'll entertain a motion.
Better understand it, I move for approval.
Okay.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. There's no additional conversation. If you'll call for the vote, please.
Malinowski,
Yes.
McBride,
Yes.
Livingston,
Yes.
Joe Walker,
Yes.
Mackey.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Next item on the agenda, 5F, from the Department of Public Works relating to Solid Waste and Recycling Division, approval of Class 2 Solid Waste Disposal Contract Amendment. That is on pages 37 through 60 of your agenda.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair. I have GM John Ansel come to the microphone. On page 38 of your packet, you will notice under the discussion, this is a negotiated amendment with Waste Management Services. This negotiation, we believe, is favorable at the disposal rate for Richland County, mainly for 2 reasons. One, because it's convenient in-county location for the landfill facility, and that we feel like these rates were negotiated in a way that is most favorable for the county. So I have GM Ansel here to speak to the details of any questions associated with this, but the recommendation from staff is that we approve the contract amendment between Waste Management of South Carolina and Richland County for disposal of Class 2 solid waste.
Questions? McBride?
Mr. Administrator,
Yes, ma'am.
what's the class two? What is the class two solid waste? Just wanted for clarification.
Yes, ma'am. So I'm gonna, if it's okay with you, I'm gonna have GM Ansel, speak to that.
Okay.
He manages the solid waste division for us. Mr. Ansel?
Yes, ma'am. Class 2 waste would typically be known as construction and demolition debris.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I move approval of staff recommendation.
A motion to approve
Second.
and a second. Mr. Ansel, I've got, well, my comment's going to be, I guess, for the administrator and the attorney, and twice throughout the original document that we were given to review, the contract here, it's a Class 2 waste disposal services agreement and contract, which is attachment 1. If I go to page 48 of our agenda, number 25 at the bottom, it says performance timeline. In there, the wording is, the period of the contract is not to exceed 5 years, commencing on July 1st, 2017, and concluding on December 31st, 2017, and renewable for up to 4 one-year terms. So from 2017, you had 4 one-year terms, you're at 2021. So it looks to me like this contract actually has expired, and I'm going to leave it up to legal to make a determination whether or not we really need to add some additional language in here for making this new contract current based on the obvious lapse from the words in front of us. And I don't need an answer now, I just put that out there so you're aware of it. If there's no additional conversation, then if you'll take the vote, please, Ms. Carrillo.
Malinowski,
Yes.
McBride,
Yes.
Livingston,
Yes.
Joe Walker,
Yes.
Mackey.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Item number 6 on the agenda, items pending analysis, no action required. There's one item there, and we don't need to take action. So item number 7 is next, which is adjournment.
So, Mr. Chair.
Second.
Motion and a second to adjourn. Please take the vote.
Malinowski,
Yes.
McBride,
Yes.
Livingston,
Yes.
Joe Walker,
Yes.
Mackey.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Thank you, everyone.